Hey, good evening. This is Pastor Mike. I am inside the original building that L.Z. Seeger was a projectionist at, and it was probably in this location where the inspiration for the world's most recognizable spinach-guzzling sailor began, Popeye. Can you imagine sitting through a Popeye cartoon, our hero, the protagonist, going up against the antagonist, Brutus, and Brutus just beats a holy living fire out of him, and that's the end of the cartoon. There's no spinach at the end. There's no final scene. There's nothing that wraps it up. Can you imagine sitting through a race car race, and the driver leading the entire race, he pulls over on the final lap and he stops paying attention and loses the race? Can you imagine going to Google Maps and it not giving you the directions for the last little bit of your journey? Now, all of these scenarios remind us that it's important that we finish well. Welcome to 3 Minutes with Mike. It's a teaching ministry of First Baptist Church, and I'm Mike. We're just 5 weeks away from Easter, the single greatest event in history. And everything about our faith hinges on whether or not Jesus actually, literally, bodily rose from the grave. You see, it's all about the finish. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 14, the Apostle Paul is very clear about this. And if Christ has not been raised, then all of our preaching is useless, and your faith is useless. Y'all, Easter Sunday is to the church what Super Bowl Sunday is to the NFL. It's not unusual for a church to double its normal attendance on Easter, and that means that people are showing up at your building and to our service that usually don't come. Now, I'm already working on the message. It's called 3 Things That God Does Better Than Anyone. You know, the most important part of that message will be the last 5 minutes. That's when the good news, the gospel, will be presented to our guest, whose eternity is on the line. It's important that that service finishes well. We've been given an incredible privilege in sharing the gospel, and we bear the incredible responsibility of sharing it simply and clearly. It reminds me of the words of the Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 10, verse 14. But how can they call on him to save them unless they believe in him? And how can they believe in him if they've never heard about him? And how can they hear about him unless someone tells them? You are the someone to tell them. People need the hope of Jesus will be sitting in your church this Easter Sunday. They may look put together on the outside, but on the inside, maybe their life is coming unraveled and they desperately need someone to clearly tell them about the good news of Jesus. And remember, it's not your facility, it's not your music, it's not your social media platform, or even the sermon that transforms lives. It's the gospel of Jesus Christ that saves, that transforms. God's word tells us, "For I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, the Jew first, and then also to those in Chester." Be thinking of those who you can invite to come to church with you this Easter. You have 5 weeks, and you have a challenge, and you have a choice. Ask someone to come to church with you on Easter, or ask yourself this: why don't I care about my neighbor's eternal destination? The truth is, if you're not concerned about your neighbor's salvation, then you probably need to question yours. Thank you for joining me on this edition of 3 Minutes with Mike. You don't have to wait until Easter to come be our guest down at CFBC, a community church. You can join us this weekend on Saturday or Sunday in person. We have our Saturday night service at 5 o'clock and our Sunday morning at 10:30. You can support this ministry with your prayers and also with your financial giving. You can give confidently and securely right there at chesterfbc.org. Make sure that you like our Facebook page. Go to our YouTube channel, Chester FBC. Go there and subscribe, and you'll get bonus content on our YouTube channel, remastered services, weekly behind-the-scenes podcast, and all the past episodes of 3 Minutes with Mike, and lots of other bonus content. God bless you, and hope to see you real soon.